Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Library Lunch. I am joining you live from backstage at the Alban Arena in St Albans this week for Stage Talk Saturdays. I'm here because I'm in rehearsals for a brand new production of Peter Pan that opens next Friday. We've got a week left of rehearsals before we open that. So I'm joining you from what is actually the wardrobe room here in St Albans. If you've never been to the Alban Arena, it's beautiful, sort of big theatre, which I'm very excited to be performing in this Christmas. Very honoured to be working in a theatre, a live theatre with live performance and a live audience, which, you know, we've all missed. I think this year we've really missed it. And this is a wonderful show for all of the family. So if any of you fancy a trip out to St Albans this Christmas, then come and see me giving my tootles in J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. But of course, if you're not fancying a trip out of London, we have, of course, got some excellent entertainment for you coming to you live from the Library Hub. It is, of course, Oh No It Isn't, which is a play that I have written and shall be directing. But I shall not be appearing in because, as I've mentioned, I'm in St Albans, so it'd be very difficult for me to be in two places at once. But I'm joined today by one of the actors of said production of Oh No It Isn't, Mr. Robbie Capaldi. Are you there, Robbie?
Hello, hello, hello. Yes, I am indeed. Very exciting to hear that you're in a theatre, actual theatre that's going to be full of people.
An
That's
actual
amazing.
theatre full of people, yeah. Are you not in a theatre then, Robbie? You've such a beautiful background there. I couldn't tell where you were.
My life is a theatre at the moment. I think that's the one of the things that comes hand in hand with doing anything on Zoom at the moment is I've just filled every single room of the house with different backdrops and different chair setups and boxes to prop laptops shakily on, so you can perform from everywhere. I'm doing a murder mystery this evening, in fact,
Well, that'll be fun.
an online whodunit. So I shall be grilled by the audience on whether or not I done it, but no spoilers. I'm giving
No
nothing away.
spoilers. Fantastic. So you're playing the part of Mr. Chancery in Oh
Mhm.
No It Isn't, a part that you actually originated.
Yes, I was the original, and then it has been. I think it's only been done by one other production company that I'm aware of at the moment, which is really exciting. And yeah, it's the third kind of iteration of it that I've been in. We did nice short run at the Hope where we just kind of tried it out because when you've got a little gem of an idea, you've got to, yeah, particularly when it's comedy, you've got to throw it in front of an audience and see if anybody laughs. And they did.
Yeah, we were very lucky in that respect.
They did laugh, and we went, "Hey, okay, we'll do this another night."
Yeah,
And then
the things we
obviously,
found funny in rehearsals, they found funny in performance, which is always a bonus.
yeah, there's always that bit where you go, "Okay, I think that joke's in the bank," but it's not until you deliver it on the night that you go, "Oh, okay, that needs work," or the other way, something that you think you're like, "Oh, maybe a titter, maybe I'll get a titter," and it suddenly erupts, and you get a big reaction. So it's yeah, I can see why stand-up comedians spend so long just trying out material over and over again and adjusting and refining it.
Absolutely,
It's
honing it. Yeah.
definitely.
I feel like we've got it to a sufficiently honed point now, so we've got a very entertaining performance for the adults of Upper Norwood and South Norwood and Crystal Palace and wherever you want to come from. You're welcome. We've only got 25 tickets available per performance, so if you do want to come, you will have to book quickly because they are moving. But Robbie, if you tell us a little bit about the sort of the story and then a little bit about the character that you're playing.
Absolutely. So it takes place in a small regional theatre. We flip between onstage and offstage during the last night of the Panto run. So the two actors that you see them both in character as the ugly sisters in Cinderella, and then it flips and we see them backstage and their relationship that occurs offstage. And it's got a really nice shift in dynamic. That obviously there's these big panto personas who are full of life and fun and just this huge eruption of big behavior, and then it very sharply cuts into some very real, very human dynamics that occur backstage. So I think that's really the crux of the show, is that it throws these two very different worlds up against each other, and you get to see the difficulties that often occur when you're working very closely with one other person for a long time in a very small environment. You get that kind of pressure cooker, and I think it really comes through in the show. And then obviously the pressure can build, and then we can explode into panto glory everywhere. Just
Yeah.
color and light and fun and life, and everything's
For those of you that don't know, this play was written based on my experiences in pantomime. I first appeared in a pantomime when I was 9 years old, wee little babby, and then I've appeared in many since then. So the play is full of anecdotes and stories and things that have actually happened, stories of when things have gone wrong. But I wanted to bring sort of aspects of the fun and the audience interaction of pantomime, but also balance it with the tensions that can occur backstage when you're working in such close proximity to somebody else. And I think that what we do quite well when Robbie and I performed it together before, what was great was that because we worked together so well, we were able to find so much joy in playing the tension and the awkwardness and all of that. And I think that there's so much joy in having these moments of real tension and then immediately switching to being on stage and being the ugly sisters and being those wonderful over the top characters.
Definitely. And I think that it's the play. I won't give too much away because you have to come and see it and experience it. But the play starts to blur those lines a little bit, and it plays with at what point are you one character or are you the other, and how does that affect the relationship? And that's really kind of the direction that it moves in towards the grand finale, as it were. And I think it's a fantastic. I'm going to praise you now, Luke. So be ready. I think it's a fantastic piece of writing. I think it comes from such a place of love for panto and for theatre generally, but also has such an awareness of the foibles of theatre, of the dangers and the risks and the toil that it can take. Even though it's an amazingly fun job to do, to be an actor, it's not easy, and it's not a career that has a steady ladder to it or a progression. It's incredibly risky, and that obviously that pressure can build personally, and it's hard to not bring that to a room. And I think that really shows the dynamic of what it is to be an actor, particularly in times where work is scarce, or you can have a great idea, and until you're on stage delivering those lines, you have no idea whether that show is going to happen or not. And I know so many creatives who've had setbacks this year, and had huge plans. And I mean, even the National Theatre restructure the entire Olivier to put on Death of England, and open and close on the same night, one show, and that's it. And
absolutely, it's been a crazy year, and I think the fact that we're getting to do this is amazing. We've been very lucky that London is in tier 2 and we can go ahead with the performances. But I think you mentioned it there, that when I wrote it, I sort of billed it initially as an angry love letter to the world of theatre. And some marketing people said, maybe change that, but it kind of is. It celebrates, from my point of view, it celebrates all the best things about being in theatre, especially at Christmas when you're doing pantomime that is so much fun and so highly energetic and just really playful. But also I don't think I pull my punches in the writing, in that I do address some of the things that I think are perhaps, could be improved within the industry, and the way that people are treated, and sort of the expectations put upon performers. And sort of it's a way of letting the audience in to see some of that as well. And I think that balancing that with the excitement and the fact that we get to play those panto scenes makes it sort of, you get a real sense of the light and the dark.
Definitely. And I would agree with you, Luke, that you've not pulled a single punch in this. I think you've followed up the punches with several kicks and a few harsh words, but with a tenderness. I think this is the thing, that it's an industry that can frustrate deeply, and relationships can really be traumatic and difficult within it, but there's so much love for panto, but also for theatre, and for that working environment, that it's never wholly one thing. And I think that's what's really fantastic and really lovely to play within, is that you don't even get to settle on a note long enough for it to be one note. It's just that it's constantly being moved. We're being battered around by all kinds of different events that take place throughout the story, and to have that kind of, I'm going to call it a roller coaster. I hate when people use the word, it's a roller coaster ride of emotion, but I can't think of anything better to say. If only I were some kind of writer, I could think of something. Luke?
Roller coaster's good. I haven't got
I'll go with roller coaster.
Go with roller coaster. And we can't talk about a show featuring two ugly sisters, pantomime dames, if you will, without talking about frocks and makeup. And how is this for you? Like, having never actually played an ugly sister yourself in a pantomime, how was that for you coming to it the first time we did it?
It was, I've never been in a panto, but I've always said if I was going to be in a panto, I'd want to be a dame part, because it's such a rich history, and the dress is such a big part of that. It's so, like, the ones we've got for this run are actually new dresses, so we haven't had them before, which is really exciting. So John and I can't wait to jump into the dresses. That's John Gregor, who's playing the other role, is taking over from Luke on this run, which is really exciting. So we're going to get into these dresses. We've seen them, but we haven't tried them on yet, and they're huge and colourful, and I'm tiny bit terrified, because we do have some very quick changes.
And of course, the joy is that all the changes happen on stage, so you get to see everything.
Nowhere to hide in this piece.
Yeah, and the makeup as well. Like, one of the famous things about pantomime dames is, of course, how they do their face, and quite often every pantomime dame has their own style, their own sort of design. And we actually had a makeup consultant, didn't we, when we first did it, come in? And
we did, and thank goodness, because I definitely, when we tried to do it ourselves with zero guidance, it was just some kind of Picasso style mess that was going on. But yeah, that was incredible. I had never realized how hard it is to make both eyebrows match.
Yeah, absolutely. So girls that do that every day, we now have a newfound level of respect.
Blown away. I mean, I could barely do it with a couple of hours notice before a show. I need to get some stencil or something.
And we've also, what I love about the way that we doing the changes on stage, mean you get to see these beautiful, fabulous costumes, totally OTT, full faces of makeup, and then you've just got two guys having the most mundane of conversations sometimes in these brilliant get-ups.
Yeah, I think this is, and this is one of the elements that really ties this play to the panto tradition for me, is this idea that as the dame, you put on this huge costume to match a huge persona that's underneath. That the size of the character that you play as a dame can just go to absolute extremes in any direction at any time, and that's the joy of it. And to see that size of costume be filled, and then the performance to disappear from within it, it's a really discombobulating moment that you just go, oh, okay. Particularly when we've been playing it, to see you go from on-stage persona to off-stage, it's such a gear change, and it rattles you from one end of the spectrum to the other, which I love. But I don't know, I think there's something about it as well being, I think it's very clever that they're the ugly sisters, because they're inherently like unlikable on stage. That's their whole point, is that they're ugly, and it's not about surface beauty, it's that they're ugly in their cores. And I think that's the mirrors between our onstage and offstage character kind of sits in that world, that there is ugliness within both of them, and it ties it together, which yeah, I really like that.
Absolutely. I like to think that you love both of the characters, but you hate both of the characters in equal measure. And yeah, it brings a lot of that kind of pantomime tradition, but also that amount of humanity as well, that we all have aspects of our personalities that we'd probably like to get rid of that sometimes come to the surface. But
I don't know what you're talking about, Luke.
You're such a gentleman. But I really brought that to the surface, I thought, and I was like, I'm going to run with that and run that through both, the onstage, and because they are villains, really, the Ugly Sisters, they are villains as well as being dames. Tell us a bit more actually about what you've been doing the rest of this year, because I don't want to spend all of this time talking about myself and the amazing play that I've written, because you've been involved a lot with the show Must Go Online, and
Yes.
let's talk about that, because that was a wonderful initiative just to keep creative people in work and being creative.
I mean, it was quite incredible because it was actually rolling up to speed before the lockdown. The first performance, The Two Gentlemen of Verona, happened, I believe, a few days before the initial lockdown. And it's basically, for those of you who don't know, it was an almost 8-month project to perform all of Shakespeare's first folio plays online, read on Zoom, and it started off as a play reading with some staging moments and some fantastic performances, and it's just grown to this point where it's almost become a live cinematic experience that you have. It's got beautiful sound design. Adam Gibson recently was working on The Tempest, and the sound design for that was incredible. And it just really expands the world. And they just every week, Rob Miles, Sarah Peachy, Emily Ingram, Matthew Rhodes, Ruth Page, that's the core team. Apologies if I missed anyone out of that. No, I don't think I did. They just push the boundaries of what this kind of frame is capable of, and what you can do, and often swinging between really high-tech solutions with kind of Snapchat filters that can, like Bottom was played with a donkey's head from I think it was from the Shrek app of that. So it was all 3D animated.
That's clever.
And then
Clever.
10 seconds later, we're having a sword fight with tinfoil cardboard swords, because who has a full array of weaponry hanging around their house? I mean, some people do, I'm sure. Yeah, so you're hacking away with those, and it's that lo-fi meets high tech, because it happens in such a short space of time. It's a 3-day rehearsal process for the whole play, and some of these plays are sort of approaching, well, around 3 hours long when you put them on. And to go from the read through to the performance of it in that space of time, with all of the camera trickery, with the music, with people's own lighting set up, with you doing whatever you can at home to create that environment with what you have readily available, because there's no budget. Nobody's sending you a kit. Yeah, it's just been inspiring to both be part of and to watch every week. It's been quite
Brilliant.
incredible.
Brilliant. And I think we'll find and we'll share a link to that, because I think they're all still available to watch, aren't they?
They will forever be available on YouTube for free for everyone. Rob really wanted the project to take Shakespeare off this pedestal that it's often put on, where it's a kind of untouchable thing, and that you have to have a certain education or a certain background or a certain mindset to understand it, and if you don't, then it's not for you. And we need to get rid of that, because Shakespeare is for everyone. It should be understood by everyone. It should be enjoyed by everyone. If the text is rich, then the actors need to meet you halfway, or the director needs to create an environment where you understand the character and the journey they're going through and the story. And Rob does that incredibly all the way through the series. It's just so accessible. So if you're someone who's thinking, oh, Shakespeare, I don't get it, I sit there and they're just kind of in tights and they're like standing still and shouting strange poetry at each other, watch one of these. Tune into one that you maybe know. Hit Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer Night's Dream, the ones that are done a bit more, so you they're a bit more accessible just as they are as a script. And then when you watch this production, you'll get it. It's there. It's laid out. The performances are fantastic. There's just some absolute spellbinding moments of acting that happens, and it's it rips you out of the idea that it is just it's an actor with a wall and their laptop and the script. That's the reality of it. And they slingshot you out of that, and it's you're in a castle in Denmark, and someone's dealing with a huge existential crisis that's going on in their life, and you're this close to them as well, which I think is just
fantastic. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
and we've shared the links. So we shared the links. If you want to go and anybody out there watching, you want to go have a look at the show must go online, then have a look and watch some of those things, because I totally agree with Robbie. Shakespeare is for everybody, and it's brilliant and it's wonderful. We're going to wrap up now, Robbie.
Amazing.
And, it's been great to chat to you, and I'm very much looking forward to getting back in the rehearsal room with you and making Oh No It Isn't. If you could sum up the show in 3 words, what would those 3 words be? Keep it family friendly. It's the middle of the day.
Oh, okay. I would say it's pulling the weave off panto, like it's
That's
ripping
5
it
words,
away.
Robbie.
Oh, was it 3 words?
I said 3 words.
Okay. It's funny, fun, and fantastic. There you go.
Well, I love the alliteration, though. I think 2 of those words were the same. But yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
So if you are out there watching this and you're thinking, I've been stuck in my house for 8 months and I'm looking for an escape, a bit of Christmas entertainment, then please do come down to the Upper Norwood Library Hub and see Oh No It Isn't. We are only on for 4 performances from the 17th to the 20th of December. As I said, it's 25 tickets available per performance because we have socially distanced seating. There will be a lot of COVID regulations in place to make sure that we're all safe. Anybody working front of house will be masked. We will ask all the audience to wear masks. We will have sanitizer available, taking temperatures, everything you would expect for a nice, safe evening at the theatre. We do recommend sort of adults only, 18 plus, simply because of the language. There is some strong language in there because it's very true to life, as life backstage. Sometimes tempers get fraught and 4-letter words are used. So, but if you're 15, 16 and you've heard all that kind of language at school and you think it's not going to affect you, then we'd love to welcome you too. And if you're looking for something a bit more family friendly, then as I mentioned, I am here in St Albans doing Peter Pan at the Alban Arena from, I believe, the 11th of December. Is that next Friday is the 11th? Yes. Thank you, Robbie. From the 11th of December through until the 3rd of January. So there's lots of time to come and see that. We've got flying, we've got magic, we've got live music, we've got dry ice, we've got everything you could want.
Can I heckle? Are there moments where I can come and shout things at you while you're on stage?
I mean, you do that when I'm on stage anyway, Robbie. So there would be
I'll be there.
But there is a bit of audience interaction. It is the traditional story of Peter Pan. It's not a pantomime. It's a family show. It's a wonderful, imaginative piece. So if you do want to come on down to St Albans Arena, you can get a direct train from Norwood Junction. That's how I've been commuting to rehearsals. So if you're in the Norwood area, you can get there in no time at all. But yes, you've got 2 choices for Christmas shows. And in fact, a 3rd choice that I'm going to talk to you all about next week, because Daniel Stockton is returning with another musical extravaganza to the library. And I should be hopefully speaking to one of the cast members of that next week. But for now, I will say, Robbie Capaldi, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
And I shall see you very soon.
Oh, yeah.
And to everybody else out there, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope that you will join us in the show sometime in December. And if not, have a wonderful festive period, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.